Hey guys, welcome back to the series between TT1 and DongRaeGu from IEM New York. This is game 4. TT1 is spawning here as the pink Protoss. He is in the top right hand corner of Shakura's Plateau. And DongRaeGu is apparently not going to be 6-pooling on this map, so he's spawning here at the top left as the blue Zerg. And I say that because game 1 and game 3 both featured DongRaeGu 6-pooling and it turning into a weird game. But he's opting to not go for it this time, probably because there's not as many chances that TT1 will not scout in the correct direction on his first try. TT1 is just going to go ahead and Forge Expand, which is really normal on this map. DongRaeGu starting an Overlord on 9, so everything looking very normal out of both these players. Thus far, the overall mode, or not mode, geez, that's Futurama. The overall mood of this series has kind of been that DongRaeGu is the better player. I mean, that's kind of hard to dispute, and TT1 rallying his probe to the top of this plateau. But the weird thing so far has been that DongRaeGu, everyone knows that DongRaeGu is probably the better player out of these two, but he's using like Bush League tactics on TT1, just trying to get cheap wins, and it hasn't really worked. TT1 has forced him into longer games where DongRaeGu has done really well. But these games have all been really close, so it hasn't really been like DongRaeGu's come out and dominated him. TT1 really holding his own quite well, which is nice because you don't see a lot out of him, at least in terms of tournament appearances, and I'd really like to see him come back from all that. TT1 is probably going to Nexus first, which you can get away with considering DongRaeGu went for that 14 pool. So he's going to go Nexus first, probably drop a Forge on 16, as well as a, oh never mind, he's already at 16, so it's probably going to be Nexus, Forge, Gateway without making any extra probes, depending on how greedy he's comfortable with being. He now is going to be ghosting the Forge, so he's going to put up the Forge first, and then the Nexus. So this is kind of strange timing. You can do it the other way around if you really want to, but he waited until 16 supply. It could have been a little bit of a mistake. Typically, if you want to do this, you're going to go for 15 Nexus, and then your Forge immediately afterwards so that you can get your cannon up as soon as possible. But TT1 sees that this is finished, and DongRaeGu, I don't know what kind of scouting information he has. He now sees the Forge is coming down and not quite finished yet. By the time the Zerglings get over there, they might be able to get in, but TT1 can just wall them off. And based on the way DongRaeGu's been playing, he's probably going to try to get in and see what he can do with these initial Zerglings. But TT1 should be able to wall this off just fine, and he is a very strange wall nonetheless. Now he cancels his gateway and places it... What are you doing, TT1? You're really confusing me. But he's just going to go ahead and wall off with pylons. He's probably going to cancel this one so that he can build another building here, like a Cybernetics core, to fully wall that off, so that he can just kill this pylon to get out. The cannon... Oh! TT1 just canceled his pylon! What is he doing? And he just completely lets those Zerglings in for free. I don't know what that was all about, but that's a huge mistake. TT1 has now got 5 Zerglings in his base, and he has nothing on the field to deal with that except for probes. And these Zerglings can stand here forever and just bug these probes, pick them off one at a time as you can see there, and force TT1 to lose mining if he decides to turn around and fight these. So what a huge mistake by canceling the pylon that was keeping that wall solidified for the time being. He's going to lose a lot of probes here. As you can see, one go down there, one's going to go down there, another one goes down. The Zerglings are eventually going to die, but they've done a whole bunch of damage for just being initial Zerglings. You can see 6 workers killed. It looks like there were 4 killed by TT1? I don't understand how that could have happened. That's got to not... That can't be right. Okay, that's just units killed. Never mind, I'm an idiot. So, 4 units killed were just Zerglings. Oh, jeez. Anyway, the Nexus is now going down for TT1. He feels comfortable enough that he can clean this up. A Zealot is on the way, but that Nexus was delayed by almost 2 full minutes, and DongRaeGu is going to be at 3 hatcheries very shortly and be way ahead of TT1. So, yeah, you can see how devastating making a simple mistake like canceling a pylon can be. I would know because I've actually lost games where I've accidentally canceled my gateway right as it was about to finish, and that sucks. So, the other Nexus is going to finish. He's now going to be on 2 geysers here at his main base, which is pretty normal stuff. Cybernetics core is coming down in the main as opposed to at the front door. He's leaving a huge hole here in his front door, but he must figure that DongRaeGu's opening up for a lot of extra hatcheries rather than putting on more pressure. The one Zergling is being chased by a probe, and this is a complete reversal of roles. As we can see, the Zergling is just trying to regenerate a little bit of health, poke back at the probe, and now he's just going to die. So that probe's a hero. He gets 1 kill on a one-on-one fight with a hurt Zergling, so he's got to feel pretty good about himself. In terms of the worker count, TT1 is behind by 7 workers, which is really bad right now because DongRaeGu is going to be on 3 bases. This Zealot came in here and did a little bit. He got a couple of Zergling kills, but that was it. The Queen just pooping out tons of creep tumors, but this 3rd hatchery is already operational, so DongRaeGu, if he sticks to making drones, he will really overwhelm TT1 in terms of economy very, very shortly, and TT1 will have to get fantastic trades out of his army fights in order to stay in this game. But TT1 is still roaming around with a couple Zealots and a probe, and TT1 should have seen these Zerglings running down here. He's being really ballsy with that probe, and these Zealots will probably just lose these Zerglings. This is kind of a waste. The Zealots only get, you can see the tiny little bit of Zergling micro there. Outstanding work out here from DongRaeGu, but didn't do hardly anything with those Zealots. Speed finishes. The probe is trying to run away as fast as he can, but look how fast these Zerglings are going to chase him down. There's no way he's getting anywhere productive, so he's just going to walk into a corner and die a sad death. TT1 does have 5 more gateways coming down, so he's just going to go for a fast +1 attack 6 gate, which is a fairly common response to a fast 3rd hatchery. You try and catch them when they're droning, but his drone count is already so far ahead of TT1's, already up by 10, and that's going to continue to increase before this attack actually arrives. So DongRaeGu should be totally fine from this, and I don't think that this is really going to do a ton of damage, but we'll see if TT1 is able to get some nice force fields off or get really good army positioning and make something happen. Another probe is going to come out here. DongRaeGu can see that, and he just now decides to turn and kill that probe in the same fashion as the other one. So TT1 losing a couple of probes pointlessly. There's now an Overseer in TT1's base that sees everything, sees all these gateways clumped up together. It's now going to be a 7-gate attack, and DongRaeGu knows all about it. As you can see him starting roaches, starting burrow, starting roach speed, and the burrow in particular is going to cause TT1 a lot of problems, but right as I say that, he starts a robotic, so he can grab an observer out of there. He might even start +2, but he does not have a Twilight Council down, and he's just going to go double robo from here. I'm not sure if it's going to be for Colossus or Immortals. Either one would not be a bad choice, but he's already behind by 30 supply, or 50% of his own supply. So it's a huge hole he's in right now. Hydralisk Den is now on the way, so if TT1 chooses Immortals, that's going to be really bad for him. It'll kill roaches, but Hydralisk just absolutely wastes Immortals for cost. 9 more drones on the way. That's going to put DongRaeGu at about 63 drones versus the sub 40 number of TT1. Here comes the robotics facility finishing. Is he going to start a Colossus Bay? No, he starts an Immortal instead. So we'll see if the attack upgrades and armor upgrades are going to be enough to make this attack work, but you can't stay on this tier 2 tech forever. You need to eventually go Colossus or Templar unless you have some type of push plan, but it's getting kind of late. It's 11 minutes already, and TT1 doesn't have a huge force on the field, especially considering what DongRaeGu can churn out at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if DongRaeGu took a 4th here in just a second, which is exactly what this drone is heading out to do. So plop, there it goes. He's going to have a lot of gas income and be ready for probably even infestors by the time this comes out, if he starts his infestation pit soon enough. And it's not coming down. He's just going to stick with Hydralisk for the time being. Overlord speed +2 missile attacks along with Hydralisk range. These Hydralisks are going to mow this army down when this actually comes. DongRaeGu trying to delay TT1's 3rd, and he's going to go ahead and put it down. Zerglings should know that that's there, so this kind of gives DongRaeGu a little bit of a window to be aggressive if he decides to move forward with his next couple of rounds of units. You can see 12 more roaches and 2 more Hydralisks on the way. A bunch of sentries, armor upgrades, stuff like that coming down for TT1. Once this +2 finishes, he's just going to rip through whatever TT1 has. He needs area of effect on the field immediately. But that's the game of Starcraft for you. As you can see, DongRaeGu actually contaminates the robo of TT1. Here comes a small push-out. Zealots, Immortals, a couple sentries, a few stalkers, but for the most part it's just kind of DPS, but not the most elegant of DPS. It's kind of clunky. So if TT1 is planning on fighting on creep, DongRaeGu is going to be able to handle these units quite well because of his own speed and somewhat kiting ability against those Zealots, but we'll see what TT1 is able to do. He's already behind by 50 supply, so he's going to have to dig himself out of a big hole here. Here comes the main engagement. Roaches are pressing forward behind the smoke. Decent force fields here to wall off a bunch of Hydralisks from attacking, but they can still hit these Zealots. So all the Zealots are already dead, and now it's just down to the ranged attackers versus ranged attackers. TT1, oh, he needs more force fields to close this off. He doesn't quite have enough. So you can see him just barely not being able to close these holes. But he's actually doing pretty well here. I'm surprised. So DongRaeGu has to fall back, wait for more roaches to reinforce. TT1 should just accept that victory and go home if he possibly can. He has no more sentries, so this army's going to be able to press up very aggressively. So you can see him just warping in zealots right now. He does have the gas, or excuse me, no he doesn't. He just laid down a robotics bay. So he's going to put down a robotics bay and a warp prism to see if he can get himself back in this game, but he should be getting crushed in economy right now. So you can see DongRaeGu is just really dwarfing his numbers. TT1 canceled his Nexus and is, I guess, just deciding to go on 2 bases for right now. I don't know if there's a run by or not, but he definitely did start a Nexus there, and it's definitely not there now. So he's behind by almost 70 supply. It's a huge hole he's digging himself in. He still does not have any area of effect. If he can somehow get about 4 Colossi on the field, he may be able to win this game, but 4 Colossi is a long time to wait for those guys to come out before DongRaeGu is going to be maxed, pushing out with a huge army and huge upgrades. He is still at +2 attack. And +2 attack Hydras, 14 damage at 0.83 speed. That's so much DPS, especially if you have this many roaches to tank for you. So I don't think these roaches, or rather these overlords, have dropping. They're just here to kind of soak up some damage, hopefully, from the stalkers. DongRaeGu is still kind of fishing around, seeing if he can figure out if TT1's expanded, but he thinks that he has enough to just go ahead and engage this straight up. The 1 Colossus is not out yet. DongRaeGu contaminates a idle robotics facility by mistake, I'm sure, but there's a lot of overseers here, just kind of prepping for everything that might kill him, but DongRaeGu sees no expansion, so he's just going to say, well, okay, I'm way ahead, so there's no reason for me to go and lose my army for no reason, for free. That's right, no reason to lose it for no reason. I can talk. The army of DongRaeGu is assembling kind of in the middle area from all of his hatcheries. 2 more Colossi on the way, so if he gets up to 3 or 4, he might actually be okay, but this is really worrisome. I don't know that he should be aggressive right now. He is supply blocked. He's running so low on resources. Look how many resources that DongRaeGu has banked. He did put up a Spire, which is about to finish, so if he uses this army, this maxed army, just to whittle down as much as he can and then goes Spire, and puts out a ton of Mutalisks, which he can afford a lot, that's going to be bad. So we'll see if DongRaeGu is able to handle this army of TT1, but as soon as the engagement comes, it's I don't know. There's just too many zealots in there, and if you run a lot of zealots against this kind of unit composition, they just walk in there and die almost for free. So you're just dumping minerals down the drain, whereas you could just use them for harassment or something like that to buy you some time. But here's a huge engagement, so you can see Zerglings just dying at these Colossi. Look at DongRaeGu faking the drop, causing TT1 to pull all of his units back. These overlords getting in the way of everything that's going on. The Colossi are doing pretty well for themselves, actually, but we'll see what he follows up. 12 Corruptors on the way. Holy crap. You can see TT1 does push off this attack from DongRaeGu. There's only Hydras here right now, and if he continues to attack with Hydras, he's going to lose a lot. All of these, not infestors, those are overlords, are going to go down for free, but these 12 Corruptors and reinforcements out of DongRaeGu are going to completely smash through what TT1 has left in his army. He can actually just attack with these Corruptors into those Colossus, and TT1 won't have enough damage to get them all off the field before TT1 loses essentially everything, but we'll see how DongRaeGu chooses to handle this. Vengeful Sacks are now on the way, and he did put up a Baneling Nest, so I think he's eventually going to want to go into Baneling dropping. But the 3 Colossus, a bunch of Stalkers, are pressing out across the map. This needs to work for TT1, or else he is so dead. The attack here, a nice angle out of TT1, able to kind of focus all these units down in a little hole, but all the Corruptors waste the Colossi. The Corruptors are taking a lot of damage, more importantly, from these Stalkers. TT1's supply is starting to plummet, and he is mined out in his main, as you can see here on the minimap. No real action going on. All the Stalkers and Immortals still pressing up here, but the next round of the units is going to be really hard for TT1 to hold off. So you can see him down by about 60 supply right now. Here's another Warp Prism coming out, and more Zealots. So let's take a look at the mining really fast. All of these probes are being transferred out of the main. As you can see, he is dry there. These are about to run out as well. They're getting pretty low. Another small engagement here in the middle, but there's tons of roaches, tons of Hydras. TT1 can't really afford to engage this straight up, but he is going to try to anyway. He's doing okay. He just needs to kind of buy a little bit more time, but he just doesn't have any production behind this. The Corruptors are still just floating overhead, rather useless. TT1's still kind of cleaning up these armies. He's doing okay, but the fact is that he's so far behind in tech and economy right now that there's just no way he's going to be able to catch up, and he realizes that he says, good game. So there's 2 goods. And yeah, DongRaeGu really flexing his muscles there in that game, showing that if he needs to go into a macro game, he can really smash people's faces pretty hard. I cannot believe still that TT1 just canceled that pylon and let all those Zerglings run into your base, because if you're Protoss at that stage of the game and you're going Forge Expand, you have 0 units, at least 0 army units, and if you let Zerglings into your base, you're in so much trouble. You're going to get pushed so far behind because you're going to have to use probes to fight or just probes to die. And the reason that you make this wall is so that Zerglings can't do that. So yeah, that's a huge mistake there by TT1. I'm sure it was just a misclick or something, but it kind of sucks to see people lose that way, or at least get way behind that way, but it does happen in the game. It's part of the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed that series. DongRaeGu is a fantastic player, as we all know, and he's doing very well in these IEM events. You can go ahead and check out the rest of the results, or at least the rest of the VODs if you want to. Just look around for them, either on Team Liquid or on IEM's site. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. I'm going to be back for more casts, more tutorials and stuff like that in the near future, so look out for those. Thanks for watching this series, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you later.